Hey friends, it's Ernie, Trader of Futures, and here with a Trader of Futures artificial intelligence setup. This is our algo. It is basically what guides everything that we do here. And normally, we come out with anywhere from no setups to 10 setups a day for our members. And so what I'm going to start doing is taking some select setups every once in a while and just throwing them out there to the public. And so that's what I'm doing today. And behind me you can see all of last night's setups. But the one that I want to focus on is natural gas. And let's see if we bring up the... Here we go. So the AI, what it's done is it's looked back at about 20 years of data, and it has found a particular pattern. I don't understand these patterns. I mean, none of us really do. It gives it to us in kind of a code. But it found this pattern that it's seen over the past 20 years. It's happened something on the order of 60 or 70 times with better than 80% probability of profit and a 70% chance that it will hit its target. And it looks like it is setting up that if it breaks out through approximately 3.35, let me get that number precise here. Is it 3.359? It is, hold on, I'm sorry, 3.362. Now it's on the February contract, nat gas. You could just as easily play an ETF, I'm sure. But February contract 3.362. If we close above that level, then it's a fairly significant breakout. I mean, we're talking 15 cents or so, which is significant. And so if it breaks out, we're looking for a target of 3.518. So this is what I'm showing back here is an hourly chart. And so we'll show you that right here. So on the volume profile, this all makes kind of sense. You look, we're at a low volume well. Now, the AI, it doesn't know anything about volume profile. The interesting thing, though, is that even though it knows nothing about volume profile, it's very interesting that it picks its places that are almost coincident with low volume wells or support and resistance areas, and it picks its targets typically at the or at or near the apex of a volume node. And that's exactly what's happening here. So we can see we have a low volume well here, at least in this hourly chart, and then the target up here. Now I wonder what would happen if we brought in a lot more data and then see exactly what those areas look like. Well, there's a year's worth of data. Well, not a year, I'm sorry. Alright, so that's making some sense now. So when I bring in on a 4-hour chart, or let's try bringing in a daily chart. Very interesting. So you can see on the daily chart, it's almost right at the bottom of the volume well there, big volume well, and then the target is very, very close to this value node sticking up. So it's just an interesting point that I wanted to point out, that the AI seems to consistently find setups that are coincident with market structure. And all it is looking at is patterns and reams and years of data, and pattern matching that up to some unintelligible pattern that it found. and said, hey, this looks like if it reaches this and it breaks through here, we're going to go there. And that's essentially what it does. We've created a kind of an alphabet or phonetics for it that is comprised of something on the right now at the last count it's about 450 different micro patterns, and these could be chart patterns, they could be situations, they could be values on a particular indicator, it could be volume levels or whatever. And what it does is it combines all these things into its own kind of narrative or pattern. And then it searches these out over decades of data. And then it is looking for repeated similar patterns. And then looking for potential moves off of that pattern. And we have certain criteria that it has to happen within like a 4 or 5 day period. That the potential move has to give us at least an 80% profit, which means that either it makes a lot or at least more than $1. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. And that the target that it's hitting should be at least something on the order of a 1 standard deviation move based on the average true range over some period. So in other words, it looks at the average move and says, yeah, you should be hitting that average move when that happens. So, and what we found is that over a period of time, at least over these past few years, that we hit the target area that it finds 70% of the time or exceed it. And there have been some cases where we exceed the target by as much as 400 or 500%. And 80% of the time, it will make money. And actually, since the room has been opened, since we've actually opened the service, we've been way better than 80% profitable. We're actually up around the low 90s, 92, 93% profitable. So in fact, since we've had the room open, we've only had 1 losing day in the room. Now, that doesn't mean we had only 1 losing trade. That we've had maybe a handful, 4 or 5. But that comprises, I think, about 106, 107. Well, now it's up to about 110 days since we opened the room. We've had 1 losing day, and that just happened just the other day. And I attribute that, by the way, I attribute that to the collapse in volatility over the past week or so. When there's a collapse of volatility, all systems and all trading systems have a tendency to kind of shrivel up, and because the opportunity, the lifeblood of the market has been sort of sucked out. So anyways, there you go. There's a trade for you. I'm going to probably do a few more this week as they come out. I mean, that's one of 5 trades, 5 setups. Now, when I say trade and setup, this is only if we break out of that 3.362 area. If we do not break above that, then all bets are off. But if we do break above that, we would expect at least an 80% or about an 80% probability that it will finish within the next 4 days above that level, and about a 70% probability that it will hit that target of 3.5 something within that 4 days after that, right? So they're kind of like swing trades. That's our window of opportunity. We chose that because we found that predictability starts falling off dramatically after about 4 days after that window. So we have the 1 day of the setup and then the 4 days there, and then after that, predictability, at least from the AI point of view, the pattern recognition point of view, starts falling off dramatically. That seems to be a real sweet spot. And what we're researching now is whether or not this same kind of predictability will work as you up the time frame, and maybe it's fractal. So right now we are dealing with daily charts, and maybe if we move up to a weekly chart, that might mean that we can find longer term setups, and we're making some real progress there. I think that that's going to be very exciting. So anyways, we trade futures, forex, and equities. Equities not as much right now, only because the interface with the AI is not very human friendly, and we're working with a programmer to try to automate some of that. We generally what we do is we query the AI, and it gives us these kind of scans back, and then we have to interpret that. And in that interpretation, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do. And with equities, it's exponentially more complex, and so it takes a little while longer for us to get something that in some reasonable amount of time. Plus, all the calls, they come out after the market opens. So with futures and forex, that's easy because it opens up at night, and these calls are good for one session for the next day. Where with equities, we don't have as much of a time frame there because they open up at 9:30 in the morning, and then you have until 4 o'clock that same day. So futures and forex, you have a bigger window of opportunity for setup, and with less complexity. And with equities, you have a much smaller room, or a smaller window of opportunity, with far more complexity in trying to get it out. So I guess you can see the problem. But we're getting there. We're getting there. The futures and the forex stuff are working fantastic. Bitcoin and crypto, from an automated or from an algorithmic point of view, I'm sure there are people out there that say that they have algos and AIs that can predict crypto, but I think they're full of shit, to tell you the truth. So anyways, that's all I've got for today, or at least tonight. I'm going to be on tomorrow, probably around noontime. Hope to see you then. Take care. Gotta stop the streaming. And